Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Game Hub. I'm your host GamerK, and it's time for another video for Villain Month. And this one is more of a spooky video than it is a villains video. Many years ago, I got into the Nancy Drew series in one way or another. During lockdown, I watched a guy named Arglefum who did the Nancy Drew marathon, where he played every single game after already playing them many years ago, but decided to do a marathon. Not gonna lie, it was pretty fun and really hilarious. And through certain ways, I have been able to play 6 of the games, not in order. 4 I digitally downloaded, and 2 I borrowed. And one of them was absolutely one that literally scared the living shit out of me. And it's the last one I played, and it's my last review of doing these, because I don't think I'll play the Nancy Drew games again. Mostly because, again, I don't need to. It was just a little something fun. So, I am talking about the 3rd game of the Nancy Drew series, Message in a Haunted Mansion. Now, you'd think a guy like me who doesn't like scary games would avoid from this game. And you would be right. But you know what? I never back down from a challenge. Shut up, that's not what I meant. I meant game-wise. I swear to God, I'm going to find out what you are, and I'm going to silence you. So, yeah, the Nancy Drew game, Message in a Haunted Mansion, is, again, because of the scare stuff in this game, it's not that it's constant jump scares. Like, it's not on the terrifying levels of Shadow at the Water's Edge with that absolute freaky ghost thing that happened, or Haunting of Castle Malloy, or the one with the old lady in Scotland who looks like a ghost, or actually, yeah, it's not on the levels of scare there, but it's living proof that just because there are no jump scares doesn't mean it's not scary. And how does this game rank with me? Well, sit back, relax. Hopefully you'll be able to, and let's go through it. So, Message in a Haunted Mansion came out in the right old age of 2000, which to me is over 2 decades ago. I was 6 at the time. Holy crap. And this is where Her Interactive were still getting off their feet in terms of the games. Being the 3rd game of the series, they had their time to dip the toe a little bit into what they were doing. And this one follows the old formula of having your toolbox, the text box, and the whole kind of point and click and and go around the entire area kind of gameplay. So story-wise, Nancy is asked by her house sitter, her maid, or whatever. I'm still very clueless on that whole thing, to help out her friend Rosie, who has tried to turn this old school Victorian manor in San Francisco into a B&B. Oh, no, wait, that's breaking and enter. That's B&E. My bad, B&B. My bad. Almost put in the wrong joke. So, she wants to do this, but for some reason, a bunch of accidents keep happening that stop the renovation process. And apparently, one of her friends, Abby, believes that there are ghosts that are in this house, and they want the house left alone. So we do a seance after we do a couple basic chores. And then we do get the seance scene, and it actually scares me a little bit. And as some of you know, when I did some videos, I don't like jump scares. I do not like them. But thankfully, Message in a Haunted Mansion has very little jump scares, and it's more atmospherical scare. Like, as you go through the halls, you hear eerie voices, you hear a wind breeze and a creak, and it's... Obviously, this game is meant for pretty much younger kids who want to enjoy a detective story, so they can't really go full board on the scares. That's left up to in the later games of the series. So, yeah, as we discover, there is an old legend of an old bandit from the early 1900s named Valdez, who his wife is the original owner of this house, of that mansion that we are in, basically. And there's a whole legend of it, this bandit who robbed a bank and stole a whole bunch of gold coins. Now, when the game focuses on that instead of the hauntingness of this, the game is good. It's got a lot of great puzzles. That one thing I really love is I like it when the puzzles kind of have a correlation with each other. And it's not like a bunch of this here, a bunch of this kind of thing here, and it kind of feels like they just mishmash a bunch of genres together. All these puzzles have a Chinese influence, which I do love. Because in one of the books, in a book that a suspect is hiding, and keep in mind, when you ask the suspect what this phrase means, you have to choose that you read it in a magazine and not a book, because then they'll realize that you read the book that they kept hidden, and they will basically get you fired. Yeah, that's the thing in the older Nancy Drew games. You don't do what you're supposed to, and you make a mistake with a certain suspect, they will get you fired, and it will be game over, which will go back to the last part that you saved before that happened. So, I like that the game gave a lot of leeway. And the term was Gumbo Fu, which apparently means Golden Treasure Mansion. So, yeah, obviously, this isn't just who's sabotaging this. There's a motive, and it's most likely an ancient treasure.
Nancy finds hidden treasure cliche. Nancy finds hidden treasure
Thank you, Arglethump. Thank you for always making those videos where you point out things wrong in each game or something that are good, and always saying the cliche stuff. So thank you. You make an easy joke for me, and I love it. So, obviously, most of the puzzles in this game correlate to some of them to how to find the ancient treasure. And I give credit. It does do it well, the treasure hunt. Like I was saying, one thing I love about this game is that the treasure hunt is done correctly. It's not like with Ghost Dogs of Moon Lake, where the treasure hunt is only done after we complete so many chores from every single character. That doesn't sound bad because there's only 3 characters in the game, but when you add it up to a whole bunch of doing nothing interesting, it gets boring. This, however, after we do the small chores in the beginning, we explore and find the clues. And one thing I do love is, again, the puzzles that indicate the treasure hunt. Diego Valdez, the guy who hid the treasure, did a bang-up job with this treasure hunt for his wife. From the staircase puzzle, where if you have it, you have to get to say Diego, and it will rotate and reveal it. Coins, false floor. And I do love it. There's even a cipher. Once we open up the chest or the piano, we find a code sheet with words cut with holes cut out that correlate to a certain page, which will reveal a secret message. To also, again, like I said, having a strong influence on Chinese puzzles. One of the ones I love is the safe puzzle, where we find the deed and the item that is required to finish off the case. And it's a story that's in a plaque in the wall, on the wall, and throughout the game you will actually find Chinese symbols that will correlate to a number or a certain word. For example, there's a Chinese dragon statue with a symbol on it. There's a symbol on a fire insurance form, which is kind of weird. There's one on a moon flyer. There's one on a 4 mahjong tile. So this just showcases the game's age and time era, because a lot of kids, when you would have to do puzzles in video games, you can't just look up YouTube, because it barely existed back then as well as it is now. So you'll actually have to they'll have to draw the symbol and write down what it correlates to. And in order to do the same, you have to do the correct symbols in the correct order of the story. Which I love that old school detective know-how that kids would do back in the day. I mean, I hope they did that. To the Chinese zodiac puzzle, that is basically you have to hit them in the correct order. And it's kind of a simple one if you have a Chinese zodiac with you, because it goes the year of birth from rat to pig, and you have to go in order. And again, every single puzzle is fun. It correlates to the entirety of the mansion. It correlates to Diego's obsession with the Chinese culture, which really, again, it does it well. Now, in this game, we have 4 suspects. We obviously have Rose, the person who bought the mansion and wants to turn into a B&B. Abby, who is the spirit medium who believes that the spirits are mad that someone's renovating the house. We have Charlie, the handyman, who is basically just here to help out, but things go missing, and apparently we find out he's homeless. So he lives in the basement and not letting Rose know, and I do like that. And we've got Lewis, who's the antiques dealer, who's helping Rose try to find another buyer for the house if she decides to sell, and also to kind of do some historical research on the mansion itself. Now, in good old fashion, I don't really reveal who the culprits are in these games, because if people want to play them, they can feel free and still have the suspense done. If I do certain videos where I talk about the villains, then that's a different story. Let's see, what else? So I mentioned before about the eerie atmosphere that this game gives. Being the mansion, having every time you go down the hall, you can hear like eerie voices. I don't know if this is ever talked about during this case, but Abby, when you get her out of her room, you can go, and turns out she's mic'd the entire mansion and creates weird sound effects that also implemented during the seance. Yeah, would have been nice to know what that was about, but some things, I guess, are better left unknown. Now, again, the game being 2000, it feels longer than it does if you're failing puzzles, if you missed one of the symbols. So roughly the game takes about 3 hours to complete, 6.5 if you're a completionist and want to do like the hidden secret stuff about the game. So all in all, I got really nothing bad to say about this. The story is basic. The treasure hunt is the focus of this game, and I do love it. And the puzzles are integrated very well into the story, into how Valdez hid his treasure and how he wanted his wife to find it if she had to. Again, I love a good detective story. I love a good treasure hunt. I mean, Uncharted is one of my favorite games. But at the same time, a couple things with the characters kind of hit or miss. Like, Abby not fully explaining what her whole shtick was with the fake seance and all the ghost noises. Charlie not really having that much of a... It's almost like he's there just to give some exposition on Valdez, because him being kind of an expert a little bit. And Lewis kind of being and acting super suspicious half the time. And Rose basically either yelling at Nancy to get this stuff done, or yelling at us that we interfered with the people who are also doing nothing and we get blamed. Yeah. But overall, it's a great game. It's a great first game for people if you find it or if you download it digitally. If your kids are into the whole detective genre, this is a good start for you. So, GamerK's final verdict for Nancy Drew Message in a Haunted Mansion is a very simplistic and average, but a slightly better 7 out of 10. Everything in the game does what it's supposed to do in an early series game. And it does show its date because of the rotary phone and the fact that people can't use smartphones to look stuff up, and we have to ask people through a telephone. I do like this game. It's a fun. It's still gives me the creeps whenever I played it, and not knowing what happened, I was worried something was gonna pop out and get me, and it's still something I avoid half the time. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen, for this video. Thank you for joining in. Hope this review made you guys want to start. Either if any of you have kids who are really young and want to get them into a game that makes them think, this is one for you. Like, comment, subscribe down below, and join me next week where I end the month of October for All Hallows Eve as we gamble with the boogeyman in a villainous guide. This is GamerK, logging out.